Move to Canada, it's our time.
Are you sure the immigration information you are seeing online is still valid? This is Allied Immigration Canada. As of the 29th of April 2026, we have compiled a complete list of Canada's immigration programs, with more than 90 pathways in total. All information is based on official sources from Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, or IRCC, and provincial and territorial governments. In this video, we will walk through all active programs and also show which ones have paused or closed in recent years. We do not evaluate program difficulty or predict future policy changes. Links to official sources are provided in the description. Now, let us begin with Canada's federal immigration programs. The first and most important system is Express Entry. Express Entry is the main selection system for Canada's economic immigration programs. It manages how candidates are ranked and invited to apply for permanent residence. In simple terms, applicants do not submit a permanent residence application at the very beginning. Instead, they first submit an expression of interest, often referred to as EOI, and then enter a unified candidate pool. Inside this pool, the system ranks and selects candidates. Currently, there are 3 federal economic immigration programs managed through the Express Entry system. Let us look at these 3 programs one by one. The first program is the Canadian Experience Class, often referred to as CEC. This program is designed for individuals who have at least 1 year of skilled work experience in Canada within the past 3 years. Skilled work usually refers to occupations classified under TEER categories 0, 1, 2, or 3. TEER stands for Training, Education, Experience and Responsibilities, which is Canada's system for classifying occupations. Typical applicants include international graduates working in Canada with a post-graduation work permit, often referred to as PGWP, as well as temporary foreign workers with valid work permits. It is often considered one of the most common routes to permanent residence for people already living in Canada. The second program is the Federal Skilled Worker Program, often referred to as FSW. This program is designed for applicants who have at least 1 continuous year of skilled work experience within the past 10 years. Applicants must also meet minimum requirements for language ability, education, and score at least 67 points under the Federal Skilled Worker Selection Factors. This is one of the primary pathways for skilled professionals outside Canada to apply for permanent residence through the Express Entry system. The third program is the Federal Skilled Trades Program, often referred to as FST. This program is specifically designed for workers in designated skilled trades occupations. Compared with other immigration programs, it places greater emphasis on practical skills and industry experience. Language and education requirements are generally lower. Applicants typically need either a full-time job offer from a Canadian employer or a certificate of qualification issued by a Canadian province or territory. This program is most suitable for individuals with experience in skilled trades who meet industry-specific requirements. If an applicant meets the basic requirements of any of these 3 programs, they can register in the Express Entry candidate pool. This process is often referred to as entering the pool. Once inside the pool, candidates are evaluated based on factors such as education, work experience, language ability, and age. Each applicant receives a comprehensive score, and candidates are ranked accordingly. The higher the score, the greater the chance of receiving an immigration invitation. IRCC conducts invitation rounds from time to time. During these rounds, invitations are issued to candidates according to their ranking in the pool. Only those who receive an invitation can submit a full permanent residence application. In recent years, an important change has taken place in how invitations are issued. While the 3 Express Entry programs remain unchanged, the invitation system has evolved. In addition to selecting candidates based on overall scores, IRCC now conducts category-based invitation rounds. These invitations may target specific occupations or skill groups. Examples include healthcare and social services, STEM occupations, skilled trades, and French-speaking candidates. In 2026, Canada continues to place emphasis on sectors facing labor shortages, such as healthcare, research, and transportation. As a result, express entry is no longer based solely on total scores. It is increasingly aligned with labor market needs. It is important to note that these categories are not new immigration programs. They are simply different types of invitation rounds within the existing express entry system. At its core, express entry remains a national selection system based on the expression of interest mechanism. Candidates are ranked across the country using a unified scoring system. Later in this video, when we discuss provincial nominee programs, you will see that many provinces also use their own EOI selection mechanisms. In future videos, we will discuss strategies for improving express entry scores in more detail. Now, let us move to another federal immigration program outside the express entry system. This program is called the Atlantic Immigration Program, often referred to as AAIP. It is a federal economic immigration program designed to address long-term labor shortages in the 4 Atlantic provinces. These provinces include Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, and Prince Edward Island. The Atlantic Immigration Program is not managed through the express entry system. Applicants inside or outside Canada may apply through this program. To qualify, the applicant must first obtain a full-time, non-seasonal job offer from a designated employer in one of the Atlantic provinces. The applicant must also obtain a provincial endorsement from the Atlantic province where the job is located. Once these requirements are met, the applicant can submit a permanent residence application to the federal government. The program covers a wide range of occupations, including positions from TEER Category 0 to Category 5. Compared with federal programs managed through express entry, it generally has lower language requirements. For international students who graduate from public institutions in the Atlantic provinces, work experience may not be required. As long as they meet the other program requirements, they may apply for permanent residence through AAIP. The program was originally introduced as a pilot program. At that time, it was called the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. Starting in 2022, the Atlantic Immigration Program officially replaced the original pilot and became a permanent federal economic immigration program. In addition to the Atlantic Immigration Program, the federal government introduced 2 new pilot programs in 2025. These programs also operate outside the express entry system. They are the Rural Community Immigration Pilot and the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot. Their main purpose is to help smaller communities in Canada address local labor shortages. Both are designed as 5-year pilot programs. Currently, 14 communities participate in the Rural Community Immigration Pilot, and 4 communities participate in the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot. Under these programs, local employers must first apply to become designated within the participating communities. Once an applicant receives a long-term job offer from a designated employer and obtains a recommendation from the community, the applicant may submit a permanent residence application to IRCC. Earlier in this video, we introduced 4 federal economic immigration programs. We also discussed 2 federal pilot programs. Next, we move to the second major category of federal immigration, family sponsorship. Canadian citizens or permanent residents who are at least 18 years old may sponsor eligible relatives to immigrate to Canada. Under the family sponsorship category, the sponsored person does not participate in a points-based selection system. Their education level, work experience, and language proficiency do not affect the approval decision. Currently, Canada's federal family sponsorship category includes 6 programs. Let us look at them one by one. The first program is spousal or common law partner sponsorship. This is the most common program under family sponsorship. A sponsor may sponsor their legally married spouse who is at least 18 years old. They may also sponsor a common law partner who has lived with them continuously for at least 12 months. In rare situations, applicants may also be sponsored as a conjugal partner. For sponsored persons who are already inside Canada, they may also apply for an open work permit at the same time. This allows them to work legally in Canada while their immigration application is being processed. This program does not require the sponsor to meet a minimum income threshold. However, the sponsor must demonstrate the ability to fulfill basic financial support responsibilities. The second program is dependent child sponsorship. Sponsors may sponsor their children who are under 22 years old. The child must be unmarried and not in a common law relationship. In some cases, a child aged 22 or older may still qualify. For example, if the child is unable to live independently because of a physical or mental condition and has depended on their parents for financial support for a long period of time, this program does not impose a minimum income requirement on the sponsor. However, the sponsor must still demonstrate the ability to fulfill basic financial support responsibilities. The third program is the Parents and Grandparents Program, often referred to as PGP. Unlike other family sponsorship programs, this program has specific income requirements for the sponsor. Sponsors must also sign a long-term financial undertaking. Currently, the sponsorship period is 10 years in Quebec, while in all other provinces the sponsorship period is 20 years. Because demand significantly exceeds the annual quota, this program does not remain open continuously. Instead, it uses a system of interest registration followed by a random selection process. Sponsors must first submit an interest to sponsor form. Only those who are randomly selected by IRCC may proceed to submit a full sponsorship application. It is important to note that the last time IRCC opened the interest to sponsor pool was in 2020. Since 2020, all invitations issued under this program have been selected from applicants who submitted their interest forms in 2020. Whether and when the government will reopen a new interest registration pool remains unknown. Applicants must wait for official announcements from IRCC. The fourth program is adopted child sponsorship. Canadian citizens or permanent residents may sponsor children they have adopted through a legal adoption process. This may involve either domestic adoption or international adoption. However, not all adoption relationships automatically meet the requirements of Canadian immigration law. For international adoptions, the adoption must be legally valid in both the child's country of origin and the province or territory where the sponsor resides. In addition, the adoption must not be primarily intended to obtain Canadian permanent resident status. The legality and authenticity of the adoption process are often the key factors examined during the immigration assessment. The fifth program is orphaned relative sponsorship. This program allows sponsors to sponsor certain orphaned relatives under the age of 18. The applicant must be unmarried, and both of the applicant's parents must be deceased. Eligible relationships include brothers or sisters, nephews or nieces, and grandchildren. If either parent is still alive, the applicant does not meet the eligibility requirements. The applicant must provide proof that both parents have passed away. Because the eligibility criteria are very specific, the number of applications under this program is relatively small. The sixth program is other eligible relative sponsorship. It is sometimes referred to as the Lonely Canadian Sponsorship. Within the family sponsorship category, this program has extremely narrow eligibility and actual applications under this program are very rare. To qualify, the sponsor must meet two conditions at the same time. First, the sponsor must have no relatives anywhere in the world who could normally be sponsored through other family sponsorship programs. These relatives may include a spouse, a common law partner, or a conjugal partner. They may also include parents or grandparents, children, orphaned siblings, orphaned nephews or nieces, and orphaned grandchildren. Second, aside from the relatives mentioned above, the sponsor must also have no other close relatives who are already Canadian citizens or permanent residents. This includes relatives such as uncles or aunts. Only when both conditions are met can the sponsor sponsor one relative of any relationship. The sponsored person may also include their accompanying family members, and there is no age restriction for the sponsored person under this program. Earlier, we introduced family sponsorship programs within Canada's federal immigration system. Next, let us turn to another category of federal immigration: refugee and humanitarian programs. The first program is Refugee Protection. This program is primarily designed for individuals who face a risk of persecution based on race, religion, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. The second program is Humanitarian and Compassionate Grounds, often referred to as H&C. This program applies to individuals who are already inside Canada but do not meet the requirements of regular immigration programs. However, due to humanitarian considerations, fairness concerns, or exceptional hardship, their cases may still be considered. There is no fixed eligibility threshold, and decisions are made based on the specific circumstances of each case. Officers may consider factors such as the applicant's length of residence in Canada, family connections, the best interests of any children involved, and the hardship the applicant may face if required to leave Canada. Earlier in this video, we introduced 4 permanent federal economic immigration programs and 2 federal pilot programs. We also discussed 6 programs under the family sponsorship category, as well as refugee and humanitarian programs. In total, these make up 14 federal immigration programs. In addition to these programs, the Canadian federal government may occasionally introduce temporary public policies. These policies are designed to address special situations affecting specific groups of people, specific industries, or particular periods of time. They usually have clear time limits and specific eligibility conditions. They are not considered permanent immigration programs. Whether a temporary policy applies depends on official announcements issued by IRCC. As of the 29th of April 2026, one remaining temporary policy is the Hong Kong pathway. This pathway includes 2 streams, Stream A and Stream B. They were introduced specifically for Hong Kong residents holding either a Hong Kong Special Administrative Region passport or a British National Overseas Passport. Stream A is designed for those who graduate from eligible Canadian institutions. Stream B is designed for those who have worked legally in Canada for at least 1 year with a valid work permit. Both streams took effect on June 1, 2021. The application deadline for both streams is August 31, 2026. Aside from the Hong Kong pathway, many temporary public policies introduced by the Canadian federal government in recent years have already stopped accepting new applications. These policies previously targeted groups such as international students, temporary foreign workers, Ukrainians, Afghans, and other temporary pathways created during the pandemic or other special circumstances. Before concluding the federal section, it is important to highlight several programs that have recently been paused or officially closed. These programs once existed, but are no longer accepting new applications. If you still see these programs mentioned online, the information may already be outdated. As mentioned earlier, the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program was replaced in 2022 by the current Atlantic Immigration Program. Programs that have recently been paused or closed include the Startup Visa Program, often referred to as SUV. This program stopped accepting new applications on December 19, 2025. However, applicants who obtained a commitment certificate in 2025 may still submit their permanent residence applications until June 30, 2026. The Self-Employed Persons Program also stopped accepting new applications on April 30, 2024. It is not expected to reopen before December 31, 2026. The Home Care Worker Immigration Pilots are also no longer accepting new applications. A new version opened on March 31, 2025, but the annual cap of 2,750 applications was reached on the same day. As a result, the program closed immediately. On December 19, 2025, IRCC announced that the reopening of this program would be paused. As of now, there is currently no active federal immigration pathway for home care workers accepting new applications. The Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, often referred to as RNIP, officially closed in 2024. The Agri-Food Pilot also expired in 2025. Another temporary pathway was the Temporary Resident to Permanent Resident Pathway, often referred to as the TR to PR pathway. This was a one-time public policy introduced during the pandemic in 2021, and it closed in the same year. It is also worth noting a recent policy direction. Canada plans to facilitate the transition of up to 33,000 temporary workers to permanent residence between 2026 and 2027. This policy mainly targets temporary workers who have already established themselves in Canadian communities. Many of them are paying taxes and contributing to the Canadian economy. However, as of the 29th of April 2026, IRCC has not yet released detailed implementation plans or application procedures. It remains unclear whether this policy will appear in the form of a new TR to PR pathway. We will continue to monitor official announcements from IRCC and provide updates when new details become available. Earlier, we introduced all currently existing federal immigration programs, as well as several programs that have been paused or closed. Next, we move to provincial nominee programs. Provincial nominee programs allow provinces and territories in Canada to select foreign nationals who meet specific criteria based on their local labor market needs. These selected applicants may then apply for permanent residence in Canada. With the exception of Nunavut and Quebec, every province and territory in Canada operates its own provincial nominee program. Quebec, however, has its own independent immigration system. Later in this video, we will introduce Quebec's immigration programs separately. Let us now begin with Ontario. Ontario's provincial nomination system is called the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, often referred to as OINP. The OINP can be divided into three major categories. The first category includes streams that are aligned with the Federal Express Entry System. Applicants under this category must meet the basic eligibility requirements of Express Entry and must already be in the Express Entry candidate pool. Ontario selects candidates directly from the Federal Express Entry pool and issues provincial nomination invitations. These streams do not use Ontario's own EOI selection system. Currently, this category includes two streams: the Human Capital Priorities stream and the French-speaking skilled worker stream. Neither stream requires a job offer from an Ontario employer. Among them, the Human Capital Priorities stream is the most important skilled worker nomination pathway in Ontario. It is designed for candidates in the Express Entry pool who meet the basic requirements of the Federal Skilled Worker Program or the Canadian Experience Class. Ontario periodically selects candidates from the Federal Express Entry pool based on score ranges or occupational backgrounds. The French-speaking skilled worker stream is designed for applicants who have strong French language ability. Applicants must have French proficiency at Canadian Language Benchmark Level 7 and English proficiency at Canadian Language Benchmark Level 6. The second category consists of the employer job offer streams. These streams share three common characteristics. First, the applicant must have a long-term full-time job offer from an Ontario employer. Second, applicants are not required to enter the Federal Express Entry pool. Third, candidates are selected and invited through Ontario's own EOI system. Currently, this category includes three streams. The first is the employer job offer foreign worker stream. This stream applies to applicants who have received a job offer in an occupation classified under TEER categories 0 to 3. Applicants may apply whether they are inside or outside Canada, as long as they meet the program requirements. The second stream is the Employer Job Offer International Student Stream. This stream is designed for international graduates who have completed an eligible post-secondary program in Canada and have received a job offer in an occupation classified under TEER categories 0 to 3. One key feature of this stream is that it does not require prior work experience. The third stream is the Employer Job Offer in Demand Skills stream. This stream is designed for applicants working in specific in-demand occupations in Ontario. These occupations are mainly found in sectors such as agriculture, construction, transportation, and certain caregiving positions. Examples include farm equipment operators, construction laborers, cattle farm workers, and personal support workers. Applicants must have accumulated at least 9 months of relevant work experience in Ontario within the past 3 years. The third category includes Ontario's graduate streams. These programs are designed for individuals who have completed advanced degrees in Ontario. Currently, this category includes two streams, the Master's Graduate Stream and the PhD Graduate Stream. These two streams mainly evaluate applicants based on their education level and language ability. Candidates are selected through Ontario's EOI system. Applicants are not required to enter the Federal Express Entry Pool. A job offer from an employer is also not required. In total, there are currently 7 active immigration streams under the OINP. However, several Ontario immigration streams have recently been paused or closed. The Express Entry Skilled Trades stream has been paused since November 14, 2025. The program no longer accepts new applications. Applications that had not received final decisions were returned and application fees were refunded. The OINP Entrepreneur Stream stopped accepting new applications on December 4, 2023. On November 4, 2024, the Ontario government officially announced that the program would be permanently closed. Next, let us move to the British Columbia Provincial Nominee Program, often referred to as BCPNP. The BCPNP can be divided into 3 major categories. The first category is skills immigration. This is the main category under the BCPNP. Currently, it includes 3 streams: the skilled worker stream, the health authority stream, and the entry-level and semi-skilled stream. All streams require a long-term full-time job offer from an employer in British Columbia. The skilled worker stream applies to applicants who have received a job offer in an occupation classified under TEER categories 0 to 3. Applicants must also have at least 2 years of relevant work experience. Qualified applicants may apply whether they are inside or outside Canada. The health authority stream is designed for healthcare professionals who are directly employed by a health authority in British Columbia. One important feature of this stream is that applicants are not required to enter the skills immigration points-based selection system. Eligible applicants may apply directly once the program requirements are met. However, this stream does not apply to healthcare workers employed by private clinics. The entry-level and semi-skilled stream is designed for applicants working in certain entry-level or semi-skilled occupations in British Columbia. These positions are mainly found in industries such as tourism and hospitality, food processing, and long-haul trucking. These occupations are usually classified under TEER categories 4 or 5. Applicants must have already worked for the same employer in British Columbia for at least 9 months. Both the skilled worker stream and the entry-level and semi-skilled stream require candidates to first enter the Provincial Skills Immigration EOI system. The second category is Express Entry BC. This category is connected to the Federal Express Entry system. However, unlike Ontario, British Columbia does not directly select candidates from the Federal Express Entry pool. Instead, applicants must first enter British Columbia's own Skills Immigration EOI system. After receiving a provincial nomination from British Columbia, the applicant may then submit a permanent residence application through the Federal Express Entry system. Once a provincial nomination is granted, the applicant receives an additional 600 points in the Comprehensive Ranking System, often referred to as CRS. Currently, 2 streams remain active in this category: the EEBC Skilled Worker Stream and the EEBC Health Authority Stream. These streams use similar selection criteria as the skills immigration streams. The main difference lies in the federal processing stage after nomination. Applicants who qualify for Express Entry benefit from faster processing. Those who do not meet Express Entry requirements may apply through the non-Express Entry streams instead. The third category is Entrepreneur Immigration. This category is designed for applicants who plan to establish or purchase a business in British Columbia and actively manage the business. Currently, this category includes 2 streams: the Entrepreneur Immigration Base category and the Entrepreneur Immigration Regional stream. Both streams operate under an expression of interest system. Applicants must first register in the Provincial Business EOI pool. Only after receiving an invitation may they submit a full application. If the application is approved, the applicant must sign a performance agreement with the provincial government. The applicant may then apply for a work permit to move to British Columbia and begin operating the business. After fulfilling the business requirements and meeting the conditions of the performance agreement, the applicant may submit a final report. If the report is approved, the applicant may receive a provincial nomination. The regional stream was originally introduced as a pilot program. It is now operating as a regular stream under the Entrepreneur Immigration category. This stream is designed for smaller communities in British Columbia. Applicants must establish a new business in a participating community and obtain referral from the local community. Applicants may only register in the business EOI system after receiving a community referral. The base category does not have this community restriction. Applicants may establish or purchase a business anywhere in British Columbia. In total, 7 immigration streams under the BCPNP remain active. However, several previous streams have been closed in recent years. The International Graduate Stream and the International Postgraduate Stream were closed in 2024 and 2025. The provincial government had planned to introduce new graduate streams for bachelor's, master's, and doctoral graduates in 2025. However, this plan has currently been postponed indefinitely. As of early 2026, British Columbia no longer has a separate immigration pathway specifically for international graduates under the BCPNP. Next, we move to the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, often referred to as AAIP. The AAIP is divided into 2 main categories: worker streams and entrepreneur streams. The first category is worker streams. Currently, this category includes 4 streams. The first stream is the Alberta Express Entry Stream. Similar to Ontario, this stream does not use Alberta's own EOI points-based selection system. Instead, the Alberta government selects candidates directly from the Federal Express Entry Pool based on Alberta's economic development needs. Once an applicant receives a provincial nomination, they receive an additional 600 points in the comprehensive ranking system. In practice, Alberta often prioritizes candidates who already have job offers from Alberta employers in sectors such as healthcare, technology, or policing. The province may also prioritize applicants working in key industries such as agriculture, construction, and aviation. The Alberta Opportunity Stream, often referred to as AOS, is one of the main pathways to permanent residence for many temporary residents working in Alberta. It includes international graduates holding a post-graduation work permit or foreign workers holding LMIA-based work permits. Applicants must have a long-term full-time job offer from an Alberta employer. This stream covers a wide range of occupations. Some positions classified under TEER categories 4 or 5 may also qualify. However, the occupation must be on Alberta's of eligible occupations under the program. Applicants are not required to enter the Federal Express Entry system. The Tourism and Hospitality Stream applies to applicants who are already working in Alberta's tourism, hospitality, or food service industries. Applicants must have worked for the same employer continuously for at least 6 months. They must also receive a long-term full-time job offer from the same employer. This stream mainly targets medium and some lower-skilled occupations. The occupation must be included in the program's list of eligible occupations. This stream uses Alberta's own EOI selection system and does not require applicants to enter the Federal Express Entry Pool. The Rural Renewal Stream, often referred to as RRS, is one of the most important programs introduced under the AAIP in recent years. It is designed to address labor shortages in rural Alberta communities and to support long-term community development. The core mechanism of this program is a community-driven selection process combined with provincial nomination. Under this system, designated rural communities first receive nomination allocations from the Alberta government. These communities work together with local employers to identify suitable candidates. Selected candidates receive a community endorsement letter. After receiving this endorsement, applicants may submit an EOI. Once invited, they may then apply for a provincial nomination. This program mainly targets communities in Alberta, with populations of fewer than 100,000 people. It covers a wide range of occupations. It is suitable for applicants who are willing to live and work long-term in smaller communities. Community quotas are limited, and eligible communities are determined based on official lists published by the Alberta government. The second major category under the AAIP is entrepreneur streams. Alberta currently maintains 3 entrepreneur immigration streams and 1 farm immigration stream. These programs share one important feature. Applicants must first establish or operate a business before they can obtain a provincial nomination. A provincial nomination is granted only after the applicant fulfills the requirements of a performance agreement. These programs place greater emphasis on business sustainability rather than simply the amount of investment. 3 of these entrepreneur streams operate under an EOI-based invitation system. The farm stream does not use the EOI system. The first stream is the graduate entrepreneur stream. This stream is designed for international graduates who completed post-secondary education in Alberta and plan to operate a business in the province. One advantage of this program is that it is specifically designed for graduates who studied in Alberta. Applicants can benefit from their local education, networks, and familiarity with the provincial business environment. This stream does not emphasize high net worth or large investment requirements. Instead, it places greater importance on the feasibility of the applicant's business plan. The second stream is the foreign graduate entrepreneur stream. This stream is designed for applicants who completed their education outside Canada and plan to establish innovation-driven businesses in Alberta. Innovation-driven businesses must demonstrate clear market differentiation or technological advantages. They should also contribute to knowledge-based employment or the development of key industries in Alberta. Typical examples include technology platforms, software companies, artificial intelligence or data analytics, biotechnology, renewable energy engineering, high-value manufacturing, or innovative agricultural technology. Passive investment businesses or traditional retail service businesses do not qualify under this program. Applicants must first obtain an assessment from an organization designated by the Alberta government. This assessment evaluates the business concept, level of innovation, market demand, business feasibility, and the entrepreneur's capability and risk profile. After passing this assessment, the applicant may submit an EOI. The third stream is the rural entrepreneur stream. This program encourages foreign entrepreneurs to invest in, establish, or purchase businesses in rural communities in Alberta. The main objective is to bring new businesses and employment opportunities to communities with populations under 100,000 people. Applicants may operate businesses such as convenience stores, maintenance and repair services, cafes, restaurants, childcare services, small-scale manufacturing, or agriculture-related services. The language requirement for this program is Canadian Language Benchmark Level 4. The fourth stream is the farm stream. This program is designed for applicants who have experience in agricultural management and plan to establish or purchase farms in Alberta. Typical applicants include farm operators, livestock producers, and crop farmers. Applicants must actively participate in the day-to-day management of the farm rather than acting only as investors. This stream does not impose strict minimum requirements for education or language ability. The main focus is whether the applicant has genuine farming experience and a viable farm business plan. This stream does not use an EOI selection system. Eligible applicants may submit their applications directly to the Alberta government. In summary, there are currently 8 active provincial nomination streams under the AAIP. It is important to note that Alberta's immigration policies are adjusted relatively frequently. Next, we move to the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program, often referred to as MPNP. The MPNP can be divided into 3 major categories. The first category is the skilled worker stream. Currently, this category includes 2 streams. The skilled worker in Manitoba stream is designed for applicants who are already working in Manitoba with a valid work permit. Applicants must have received a long-term full-time job offer. They must also have worked full-time for the same employer in Manitoba for at least 6 months. However, if an applicant completed their post-secondary education in another Canadian province and then moved to Manitoba for work, they must work full-time for the same employer for at least 1 year before becoming eligible to apply. This stream is particularly suitable for international graduates holding a post-graduation work permit, or temporary foreign workers holding other types of work permits. The Skilled Worker Overseas stream is designed for skilled workers outside Canada who have a strong connection to Manitoba. These connections may include previous study or work experience in Manitoba, or support from close relatives or friends who are already living in Manitoba. In some cases, applicants may also be invited directly from overseas through Manitoba's strategic recruitment initiatives. The second category is the International Education Stream. This category is an important immigration pathway for international graduates who completed their studies in Manitoba. Currently, this category includes 3 streams. The Career Employment Pathway applies to international graduates who completed higher education in Manitoba and have received a full-time job offer for at least 1 year in an in-demand occupation from a Manitoba employer. This stream does not require applicants to work for 6 months before applying. It is considered one of the fastest immigration pathways for international students in Manitoba. The Graduate Internship Pathway applies to graduates who have completed a master's degree or a doctoral degree in Manitoba. Applicants must also complete an eligible research internship program under MIT ACS. This stream does not require a job offer from an employer. The International Student Entrepreneur Pilot is designed for international graduates who plan to start a business in Manitoba. Applicants must operate their business in Manitoba for at least 6 months and meet the required business performance before receiving a provincial nomination. The third category is the Business Investor Stream. Similar to the entrepreneur immigration programs in British Columbia and Alberta, Manitoba's business immigration category follows a process of work permit first, business establishment second, and provincial nomination afterward. Currently, this category includes 2 pathways. The Entrepreneur Pathway applies to experienced business managers who plan to establish or purchase a business in Manitoba and actively participate in its daily management. The language requirement for this program is Canadian Language Benchmark Level 5. The Farm Investor Pathway is designed for applicants who have experience in farm management and plan to purchase and operate a farm in Manitoba. In total, there are currently 7 active immigration streams under the MPNP. One notable feature of the Manitoba program is that it places strong emphasis on the applicant's genuine intention to settle in the province and on their connection to Manitoba. Next, we move to the Saskatchewan Immigrant Nominee Program, often referred to as SINP. The SINP can be divided into 3 major categories. The first category is the International Skilled Worker category. This category is designed for skilled workers inside or outside Canada. Currently, this category includes 3 streams. The International Skilled Worker Employment Offer stream applies to skilled workers who have already received a long-term full-time job offer from an employer in Saskatchewan. This stream is mainly based on employer support. The employer must complete the provincial employer registration process and obtain a job approval letter, often referred to as JAL. This stream does not require applicants to enter the Federal Express Entry Pool. It also does not require applicants to enter the provincial OINP system. Eligible applicants may submit their provincial nomination applications directly. The International Skilled Worker Occupation in-demand stream applies to applicants whose occupations appear on Saskatchewan's in-demand occupation list. Applicants under this stream are not required to have a job offer from an employer in Saskatchewan. This is one of the most widely known immigration pathways under the SINP because it allows both overseas applicants and applicants in Canada to apply without employer sponsorship. This stream operates under Saskatchewan's EOI points-based invitation system. As of early 2026, common occupations on the in-demand occupation list include engineering-related occupations, information technology occupations, education professionals, social service occupations, healthcare technicians, and marketing and communications managers. However, the list of in-demand occupations may be adjusted periodically based on labor market conditions in the province. Applicants should always refer to the latest official list published by the Saskatchewan immigration authorities. The International Skilled Worker Saskatchewan Express Entry Stream also does not require a job offer from a Saskatchewan employer. It applies to applicants who are already in the Federal Express Entry Pool and who meet Saskatchewan's occupational and scoring requirements. This stream also operates under Saskatchewan's EOI invitation system. After receiving a provincial nomination from Saskatchewan, applicants receive an additional 600 points in the comprehensive ranking system. The second category, under the SINP, is the Saskatchewan Experience category. This category mainly applies to applicants who already hold valid work permits and are working legally in Saskatchewan. Currently, this category includes two streams. The Skilled Worker with Existing Work Permit stream applies to applicants who have worked for the same employer in Saskatchewan for at least 6 months. The employer must obtain a job approval letter. This stream does not use the EOI selection system. Applicants who meet the requirements may submit their provincial nomination applications directly. The Saskatchewan Experience Students stream applies to international graduates who studied either in Saskatchewan or in another Canadian province and are now working in Saskatchewan. Applicants must hold a valid work permit and must receive a long-term full-time job offer from a Saskatchewan employer. The employer must also obtain a job approval letter. This stream also does not use the EOI system. Eligible applicants may submit their applications directly. The third category includes sector-specific talent pathways. Each pathway under this category contains 2 possible application routes. Applicants who already hold valid work permits and are working in Saskatchewan may apply through the Saskatchewan Experience route. Other applicants may apply through the International Skilled Worker route. Applications under this category do not require entry into Saskatchewan's EOI system. Eligible applicants may submit their applications directly. Currently, this category includes 3 pathways. The Innovation and Tech Talent Pathway is designed for highly skilled professionals working in technology and innovation-related industries. Unlike the Occupation in Demand stream mentioned earlier, this pathway requires a long-term, full-time job offer from an employer in Saskatchewan. The employer must complete the provincial employer registration process and obtain a job approval letter. The occupation must belong to designated high-skilled technology occupations, such as database analysts, electrical and electronics engineers, and information systems specialists. The Health Talent Pathway applies to applicants who have received a long-term full-time job offer in designated healthcare occupations. The list of eligible occupations ranges from professional healthcare workers to healthcare support workers. Typical occupations currently include registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, continuing care assistants, healthcare assistants, laboratory technicians, medical imaging professionals, rehabilitation specialists, and community health workers. If the occupation belongs to a regulated profession, the applicant must also meet the relevant licensing or registration requirements. The Agriculture Talent Pathway applies to applicants working in agriculture-related industries in Saskatchewan. Applicants must have a long-term full-time job offer from an eligible employer and must work in designated agricultural occupations. Typical occupations include warehouse workers, livestock laborers, butchers, meat cutters, poultry processing workers, and food and beverage processing machine operators. Employers must operate in agriculture-related industries such as farming operations, food manufacturing, agricultural machinery production, agricultural product wholesale, or agricultural storage and distribution. The employer must also obtain a job approval letter. In total, there are currently 8 active immigration streams under the SINP. It is also important to note that Saskatchewan's entrepreneur immigration and farm owner immigration programs were permanently closed on March 27, 2025. At present, Saskatchewan does not have any active business immigration streams. Next, we move to the Prince Edward Island Provincial Nominee Program, often referred to as PEIPNP. The PEIPNP can be divided into 3 main categories. The first category includes the PEI Express Entry stream. Applicants must already be in the Federal Express Entry pool. They must also submit an expression of interest in the PEI provincial system. PEI then selects eligible candidates from the Express Entry pool through its own EOI system. Although the program does not formally require a job offer from a PEI employer, applicants who have employer support in the province usually have a significant advantage during the selection process. Once an applicant receives a provincial nomination from PEI, they receive an additional 600 points in the Federal Express Entry Comprehensive Ranking System. The second category is the Labor Impact category. This category is mainly designed to meet the labor market needs of the province. Currently, the province is prioritizing skilled workers who are employed in certain key sectors include healthcare, skilled trades, and early childhood education and childcare. Applicants working in sales and service occupations may be less likely to receive invitations at the current stage. The province may periodically adjust its selection priorities according to local labor market conditions. All streams under this category operate through the PEI-EOI selection system. Currently, this category includes 6 streams. The skilled worker in PEI stream applies to applicants who are already working in PEI and are employed in skilled or managerial occupations for a local employer. They must also receive a long-term or at least 2-year full-time job offer from that employer. This stream mainly targets skilled workers in occupations classified as TEER 0 to 3. The skilled worker outside Canada stream applies to applicants who are currently outside Canada, but have received a long-term or at least 2-year full-time job offer from a PEI employer. The offered position must belong to occupations classified as TEER 0 to 3. The purpose of this stream is straightforward. When local employers are unable to recruit suitable candidates within Canada, they may use the provincial nominee program to recruit skilled workers directly from overseas. The critical worker stream is one of the most distinctive programs under the PEI-PNP. It mainly targets workers in intermediate or lower skilled occupations classified as TEER 4 or 5, but whose roles are essential for the operation of local businesses. Typical sectors include food processing, manufacturing, warehousing, and related industries. Common applicants include workers already employed in PEI as servers, general laborers, customer service representatives, truck drivers, cleaners, and hospitality staff. A key requirement of this stream is that the applicant must already be working for the employer in PEI and must receive a long-term or at least 2-year full-time job offer. Unlike points-based systems, this program focuses primarily on retaining workers who are already contributing to the local economy. The International Graduate Stream applies to international students who completed eligible post-secondary education programs in PEI. Applicants must receive a long-term or at least 2-year full-time job offer from a PEI employer. The Intermediate Experience Stream applies to applicants working in intermediate skill occupations. Applicants must receive a long-term or at least 2-year full-time job offer from a PEI employer in a TEER 4 occupation. They must also have at least 6 months of full-time work experience in Canada. This work experience must have been obtained under a work permit supported by a labor market impact assessment and must be related to the job offered in PEI. In certain situations, employers may also recruit workers from outside Canada through this stream. However, this is only possible if the position belongs to one of the priority sectors defined by the PEI government. Once the employer receives approval from the Provincial Immigration Office, the province may issue a work permit support letter to the applicant. The applicant may then use this letter to apply for a work permit. Whether overseas recruitment will be approved under this stream is assessed by the PEI Immigration Office on a case-by-case basis. The Occupations in Demand stream applies to applicants whose occupations are on the province's in demand list. This list may change periodically based on labor market needs. Applicants must receive a long-term full-time job offer and meet basic occupational and language requirements. Similar to the Intermediate Experience stream, employers may sometimes recruit workers directly from outside Canada through this pathway. However, approval for overseas recruitment is also assessed individually by the PEI Immigration Office. The third category, under the PEI-PNP, is the business immigration category. This category currently includes one program called the Business Impact Category Work Permit Stream. The program follows a process of work permit first, business establishment second, and provincial nomination afterward. Applicants must meet a minimum language requirement of Canadian Language Benchmark Level 4. In total, there are 8 immigration streams under the PEI Provincial Nominee Program. Next, we move to the New Brunswick Provincial Nominee Program, often referred to as NBPNP. Currently, New Brunswick has 4 provincial nomination streams and 2 pilot programs. The first stream is the New Brunswick Express Entry Stream. Applicants must already be in the Federal Express Entry candidate pool. They must also submit an expression of interest in the NBPNP system. During the previous 12 months, the applicant must have continuously lived in New Brunswick. They must also have been working full-time for a New Brunswick employer and must currently hold a full-time non-seasonal position. New Brunswick selects candidates through its provincial EOI system according to the province's labor market needs. Once a provincial nomination is granted, the applicant receives an additional 600 points in the Federal Express Entry Comprehensive Ranking System. The second stream is the Skilled Worker Stream. This stream applies to applicants who have received a long-term full-time job offer from a New Brunswick employer. The immigration authorities select suitable candidates from the provincial EOI pool based on local labor market demand. This skilled worker stream includes 3 types of applicants. The first group includes applicants who already live in New Brunswick and have worked full-time for a provincial employer for at least 6 months. The second group includes international graduates who completed eligible post-secondary education in New Brunswick. The third group includes applicants who were selected during overseas recruitment events organized by the New Brunswick government. The third stream is the New Brunswick Strategic Initiative Stream. This program is designed specifically for French-speaking applicants. Its purpose is to support the long-term development of Francophone communities in New Brunswick. This stream mainly targets French-speaking applicants who have an existing connection with the province. Examples include individuals who are currently living or working in New Brunswick, or those who have completed their education at designated French language institutions in the province. The fourth stream is the New Brunswick Business Immigration Stream. The program follows a process of work permit first, business establishment second, and provincial nomination afterward. Applicants must meet a minimum language requirement of Canadian Language Benchmark Level 4. In addition to the 4 provincial nominee streams mentioned above, New Brunswick currently operates 2 pilot programs. The first pilot is the New Brunswick Critical Worker Pilot. This program was introduced in 2022 as a 5-year pilot initiative designed to address long-term labor shortages in the province. Whether the program will become a permanent immigration pathway will depend on the official evaluation expected around 2027. This pilot mainly targets intermediate and lower-skilled occupations in key industries such as food processing, manufacturing, warehousing, and agriculture. Typical applicants include food processing workers, meat packaging and sorting workers, seafood processing workers, production line workers, warehouse workers, and agricultural product handling, grading, and packaging workers. These positions are difficult to fill locally, but they are essential for the stable operation of local businesses. This program does not focus on high scores. The main emphasis is on genuine employment and the applicant's long-term intention to settle in the province. The minimum language requirement is Canadian Language Benchmark Level 4. It is important to note that applicants cannot apply directly for this program on their own. The application must be submitted by the employer. In addition, the program is not open to all employers. Only employers specifically selected by the New Brunswick government are authorized to participate in the pilot. The availability of this program and the list of participating employers are determined by official announcements from the New Brunswick government. The second pilot is the Private Career College Graduate Pilot Program. This pilot was introduced in 2022 as a 3-year program and has been extended until the end of 2026. It applies to international graduates who completed designated vocational training programs at approved private career colleges in New Brunswick. Only graduates from designated institutions and approved programs are eligible. This pilot focuses on filling long-term labor shortages in practical and applied occupations. Applicants must receive a long-term full-time job offer from a New Brunswick employer. The job must be directly related to the applicant's field of study. The minimum language requirement is Canadian Language Benchmark Level 4. This program is not designed to compete based on academic degrees or high scores. It is considered relatively accessible for graduates with practical skills. In total, there are 4 provincial nomination streams and 2 pilot programs under NBPNP. Next, we move to the Nova Scotia Nominee Program, commonly referred to as NSNP. As of February 18, 2026, Nova Scotia has restructured its immigration system. Several previous streams have been consolidated into 4 main programs. A unified expression of interest system has also been introduced. The first program is Nova Scotia Express Entry. Several previous targeted streams have now been merged into this program as subcategories. These include labor market priorities and labor market priorities for physicians. Applicants must have a valid express entry profile and at least 1 year of work experience in Nova Scotia in a TEER Category 0 to 3 occupation. They must also enter the provincial EOI system. The province selects candidates based on labor market needs. Invitations are often targeted towards specific occupations or backgrounds. Once nominated, applicants receive an additional 600 points in the express entry system. The second program is the Skilled Worker Stream. This program is for applicants with a long-term full-time job offer from a Nova Scotia employer. Several previous pathways have been merged into this stream, including occupations in demand, international graduates in demand, and the critical construction worker pilot. It is important to note a key policy update. As of April 17, 2024, applications from the accommodation and food services sector have been paused due to a large backlog of applications. This means applicants working in restaurants, hotels, or related industries cannot currently apply under this stream. The reopening timeline will depend on future official announcements. The third program is the Nova Scotia Graduate Stream. This program is designed for international graduates who completed eligible post-secondary education in Nova Scotia. Applicants must have a long-term full-time job offer from a local employer. They must also meet specific occupational or skill requirements. The previous International Graduates in Demand stream has been integrated into this program as a subcategory. The fourth program is the Entrepreneur Stream. This stream applies to applicants who plan to establish, purchase, and actively manage a business in Nova Scotia. Applicants first obtain a work permit, then operate the business, and may later receive a nomination. Applicants must meet a minimum language requirement of Canadian Language Benchmark Level 5 in all 4 skills. The previous International Graduate Entrepreneur Stream has now been merged into this program as a subcategory. In total, Nova Scotia has 4 active provincial nomination streams. Next, we move to the Newfoundland and Labrador Provincial Nominee Program, often referred to as NLPNP. Currently, Newfoundland and Labrador has 5 provincial nomination streams. Overall, the program operates through an expression of interest system, followed by invitations to apply. The first stream is the Express Entry Skilled Worker category. Applicants must already have an active Federal Express Entry profile. They must also receive a full-time job offer of at least 1 year from an employer in Newfoundland and Labrador. Once a provincial nomination is granted, the applicant receives an additional 600 points in the Federal Express Entry Comprehensive Ranking System. The second stream is the Skilled Worker category. This stream applies to applicants who have received a full-time job offer from an employer in Newfoundland and Labrador. The range of eligible occupations is relatively broad and includes occupations classified from TEER 0 to 5. However, it is important to note that this stream is not available to applicants who hold a post-graduation work permit. The third stream is the International Graduate category. This stream is the main immigration pathway reserved for international graduates in Newfoundland and Labrador. Applicants must receive a full-time job offer of at least 1 year from an employer in the province. The occupation must belong to a TEER 0 to 4 occupation. Applicants must also hold a valid post-graduation work permit, with at least 4 months of remaining validity at the time of application. It is also important to note that this stream is open to graduates who completed their studies in other Canadian provinces. However, these applicants must meet additional requirements. Their job in Newfoundland and Labrador must be related to their field of study, and they must have worked in Newfoundland and Labrador for at least 1 year before applying. The fourth stream is the International Entrepreneur. This stream applies to business investors who have senior management experience and plan to operate a business in Newfoundland and Labrador. Applicants under this program must meet a minimum language requirement of Canadian Language Benchmark Level 5. The fifth stream is the International Graduate Entrepreneur. This stream applies to international graduates who completed their studies at designated institutions in Newfoundland and Labrador and who are actively operating a business in the province. This program has a higher language requirement. Applicants must demonstrate language ability at Canadian Language Benchmark Level 7 in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Both entrepreneur streams follow the same basic model. Applicants must first establish and operate a business in the province. Only after meeting the required business performance conditions may they receive a provincial nomination. In total, there are 5 provincial nomination streams that are currently active in Newfoundland and Labrador. Next, we move to the Northwest Territories Nominee Program, often referred to as NTNP. Because the Northwest Territories has a small population and a unique labor market structure, this program is primarily designed to support employer-driven recruitment. Its main goal is to help local employers hire foreign workers when suitable candidates cannot be found within the territory. The program also includes pathways for French-speaking applicants and business entrepreneurs. In 2026, the Northwest Territories has a total of 197 nomination spaces available. The NTNP can currently be divided into 3 main categories. The first category is the employer-driven stream. This category currently includes 3 streams. It is important to note that applications under this category must be submitted by the employer. Employers must first submit an expression of interest to enter the selection pool. The territorial government then issues invitations based on priority sectors and labor market needs. The first stream is the entry-level and semi-skilled occupations. This stream applies to applicants who have received a long-term full-time job offer from an employer in the Northwest Territories. The occupation must belong to a TEER 4 or 5. Applicants must meet a minimum language requirement of Canadian Language Benchmark Level 4 in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. The second stream is the skilled worker. It applies to applicants who have received a long-term full-time job offer from an employer in the Northwest Territories. The offered position must belong to a TEER 0 to 3 occupation. The third stream is the Northwest Territories Express Entry. It is the express entry version of the skilled worker stream. Applicants must first meet all the requirements of the skilled worker stream. They must also qualify for the Federal Express Entry Pool. Once a territorial nomination is granted, the applicant receives an additional 600 points in the Federal Express Entry Comprehensive Ranking System. The second category is the Francophone stream. This stream is designed to attract and retain bilingual French and English-speaking workers. The policy objective is not only to support labor market needs but also to strengthen the Francophone community in the Northwest Territories. Applicants must receive a long-term full-time job offer from an employer in the Northwest Territories. Eligible occupations range from TEER 0 to 5. Applicants must meet minimum language requirements in both English and French. English must reach Canadian Language Benchmark Level 4. French must reach Canadian Language Benchmark Level 5. The third category is the business stream. It follows the same general structure as many other provincial entrepreneur programs. Applicants must first obtain a work permit, then establish and operate a business, and finally become eligible for territorial nomination. The minimum language requirement for this program is Canadian Language Benchmark Level 4. In total, there are 5 immigration streams under the Northwest Territories nominee program. Next, we move to the Provincial Nominee Program of Yukon. The nomination system in Yukon includes 2 main categories. The first category is the Yukon Nominee Program, often referred to as YNP. This category accepts applicants both from inside Canada and from overseas. In 2026, the Yukon Employer Nomination Programs have a total of 282 nomination spaces. Similar to the employer-driven streams in the Northwest Territories, applications under this category must be submitted by the employer. Employers must first submit an expression of interest. The territorial government prioritizes several groups of applicants when issuing invitations. These include healthcare professionals, foreign workers who have already worked in Yukon for at least 1 year, graduates of Yukon University, French-speaking applicants, and applicants whose employers are located in rural communities. This category currently includes 3 streams, which are mainly divided according to the TEER classification of the occupation. The first stream is the Critical Impact Worker stream. This stream applies to occupations classified as TEER 4 and 5. Applicants must have at least 6 months of related full-time work experience. They must also meet a minimum language requirement of Canadian Language Benchmark Level 4. The second stream is the Skilled Worker stream. This stream applies to occupations classified as TEER 0 to 3. Applicants must have at least 12 months of related full-time work experience. The minimum language requirement varies depending on the TEER level of the occupation. The third stream is the Yukon Express Entry stream. Applicants must first have a valid profile in the Federal Express Entry Pool. The second category is the Yukon Business Nominee Program. This program is designed for entrepreneurs who plan to establish or operate a business in Yukon. Applicants must meet a minimum points requirement and demonstrate language ability. The program follows a points-based system with invitations to apply. Applicants first enter the pool, then apply for a work permit, and may receive a nomination after meeting business requirements. In total, there are 4 nomination streams under the Yukon program. Earlier, we introduced the immigration programs of Yukon. At this point, we have completed the introduction of all provincial nominee programs across Canada, including 9 provinces and 2 territories. Nunavut is the only Canadian territory that does not operate a nomination program. Next, we move to a province with a very unique immigration system, Quebec. Quebec's immigration system is different because the province has a special agreement with the federal government. In simple terms, Quebec is responsible for selecting immigrants, while the federal government is responsible for granting permanent resident status. Applicants must first obtain a Quebec Selection Certificate, commonly referred to as CSQ. After receiving the CSQ, applicants then proceed to the federal stage, where they complete medical examinations, background checks, and other immigration procedures. Only after the federal stage is completed will permanent resident status be granted. Quebec does not participate in the Federal Express Entry system. Quebec's immigration system can generally be divided into 4 main categories. The first category is economic immigration for skilled workers. Currently, the only open skilled worker immigration program in Quebec is the Skilled Worker Selection Program. In French, it is called Programme de sélection des travailleurs qualifiés, commonly referred to as PSTQ. It is designed to select applicants who possess skills that match the economic needs of the province. Applicants may apply either from inside Canada or from outside the country. The program uses the ARIMA system to submit an expression of interest. This process is similar to the EOI systems used by many provincial nominee programs. The Quebec government then issues invitations based on labor market demand. The program places strong emphasis on several factors, including French language ability, professional field, work, or study experience in Quebec, and the applicant's potential to settle in different regions of the province. The PSTQ has completely replaced the former Quebec Regular Skilled Worker Program, commonly referred to as PRTQ. Another well-known program, the Quebec Experience Program, often referred to as PEQ, was officially closed on November 19, 2025. The second category is business immigration. This category is designed for individuals with business management or investment backgrounds. Currently, it includes 3 programs. All 3 programs require the principal applicant to demonstrate French proficiency at level 7, which is roughly equivalent to B2 level. The first program is the Quebec Investor Program. After being suspended for nearly 5 years, the Quebec Investor Program reopened in 2024 with a completely new set of rules. One major change under the new policy is the introduction of a French language requirement. Applicants must have a legally obtained net worth of at least 2 million Canadian dollars. They must also demonstrate at least 2 years of senior management experience within the previous 5 years. Unlike the Entrepreneur Program, this program does not require applicants to establish or actively manage a business in Quebec. Instead, it operates through a passive investment model designed to support Quebec's economic development. Applicants must complete 2 forms of investment through Investissement Quebec. The first component is a $1 million interest-free investment for a period of 5 years. After 5 years, the full principal amount is returned to the applicant. The second component is a non-refundable government contribution of $200,000. Under the new rules, the program also introduces a residence requirement. Applicants must meet both the residence and investment requirements before receiving the Quebec Selection Certificate. After obtaining the CSQ, they may proceed to the federal stage for permanent residence processing. The second program under the business category is the Entrepreneur Program. This program applies to applicants who plan to establish or acquire a business in Quebec and actively participate in its management. Unlike the Investor Program, this pathway emphasizes genuine entrepreneurship and active business operation rather than passive investment. The program currently includes 2 main pathways. One pathway focuses on innovative businesses supported by a recognized incubator, accelerator, or university entrepreneurship center in Quebec. The other pathway allows applicants to establish or acquire a traditional business while meeting minimum investment and job creation requirements. In addition to the French language requirement, applicants must demonstrate sufficient net worth and relevant business management or entrepreneurial experience. This program follows a staged process. Applicants typically first obtain a work permit and begin operating their business in Quebec. Only after meeting the required business and residency conditions will they receive the Quebec Selection Certificate. After obtaining the CSQ, they may proceed to the federal stage for permanent residence. The third business immigration program is the Self-Employed Worker Program. This program applies to applicants who plan to work independently in Quebec as self-employed professionals. Unlike the Entrepreneur Program, the Self-Employed Program does not emphasize establishing a company or hiring employees. Instead, it focuses on applicants who can generate stable self-employment income through their professional skills or services. Unlike the former federal Self-Employed Immigration Program, Quebec's Self-Employed Program is not limited to arts or sports professionals. It is open to individuals who can legally operate independent professional services in Quebec. Common fields include professional consulting services such as accounting and marketing consulting, design and creative industries such as interior design and photography, information technology and technical services, and personal skill-based services such as beauty services, therapy, and fitness training. In addition to the French language requirement, applicants must demonstrate sufficient net worth and relevant professional experience. This program also follows a staged process. Applicants first come to Quebec with a work permit and begin their self-employment activities. Only after meeting the required operational and residency conditions will they receive the Quebec Selection Certificate. They may then proceed to the federal stage for permanent residence. The third major category of immigration in Quebec is family reunification. It includes 4 programs: spousal sponsorship, child sponsorship, parent and grandparent sponsorship, and certain other eligible relatives, such as orphan siblings. It is similar to the federal family sponsorship system. However, Quebec has its own authority to assess financial sponsorship requirements. Applicants must first receive sponsorship approval from the Quebec government. After that, the application proceeds to the federal stage for immigration processing. It is important to note that Quebec's parent and grandparent sponsorship program still uses the federal interest to sponsor pool and lottery system. As a result, the program is currently not open for new applications. The fourth category is refugees and humanitarian immigration. It includes three types of cases: refugees selected overseas, protected persons applying from within Canada, and other humanitarian situations. In refugee and humanitarian programs, Quebec participates in the selection and reception process, particularly for refugees selected overseas. However, the final determination of refugee status and the granting of permanent residence remain the responsibility of the federal government. In total, Quebec currently has 11 immigration programs across these four major categories. It is also worth noting that Quebec introduced several pilot programs between 2020 and 2025. These included pilot programs for orderlies and healthcare support workers, artificial intelligence and information technology specialists, and workers in the food processing sector. All of these pilot programs officially ended on January 1, 2026. In this video, we reviewed the Canadian immigration system. As of the 29th of April 2026, we covered federal programs, provincial nominee programs, and Quebec's immigration system, with more than 90 pathways in total. Because policies change frequently, some programs may be adjusted, paused, or newly introduced over time. If you notice any updates after this video is published, feel free to share them in the comments. Also, let us know which program you would like us to explain in detail. We will prioritize future videos based on your feedback. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for clear and up-to-date information on Canadian immigration.